This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Scott Howell.
Hello, good neighbors, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast, brought to you by the Friends and Neighbors Group of Cleveland, Dalton, and the greater Chattanooga area. My name is Scott Howell, and I'm your host. For you first-time listeners that might be wondering, hey, what's the Good Neighbor Podcast all about? Well, it's to bring awareness to the residents of our communities regarding the locally owned and or operated businesses in Cleveland, Dalton, Chattanooga, and all the surrounding areas in the communities. You know, small local businesses are the backbone of our communities, and they really need our support. And joining me today is our good neighbor, Casey Ridley at the Designery. Casey, thanks for being with us on the Good Neighbor Podcast.
Hey, Scott. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I'm really looking forward to hearing what the Designery is all about. But before we jump into that, would you like to share anything with us about yourself and your family?
Yeah, sure. I'm glad to. So I'm a Chattanooga native. I grew up in Chattanooga and North Georgia area. I went to high school in that area. And I'm, always around, lots of family there, lots of community ties there. I live closer to Atlanta now. I'm a big UGA fan. Went to school at UGA, so I'm a big Dogs fan. Don't hold it against me. But I do love pretty much anything with competition, and football is one of them. So,
yeah, well, that's great. So, is the Designery a local business here to the Chattanooga area, or?
It is. So it started in Chattanooga. We have locations now in Cleveland, in Calhoun, and numerous other locations throughout the United States, actually. So we have about 27 locations now. But our base of operations is still Chattanooga for our fulfillment facility.
Awesome.
We have several locations there. And like I said, that's where it started. And that's definitely where I still consider home.
Absolutely. It's hard to get Chattanooga out of your blood, I tell you. The whole Chattanooga area, hard to get it out. So let's just dive right in. Tell us all about the Designery.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. So the Designery is a full turnkey kitchen, bath, and closet company. We specialize in cabinetry, but we also sell flooring, tile, countertops, accessories, several other things that you'll use throughout the kitchen and bath and closet space. We work with homeowners, builders, developers, pretty much anyone that needs those services or products, we work with. We have multiple showrooms and, of course, we work on appointments, but we also welcome walk-ins as well.
Okay. And you said you have offices in Cleveland and where is it, the Chattanooga area?
So it's technically Rossville, but it's basically East Ridge. So we always just tell everyone that we're right over that state line there in Rossville, but we're 5 minutes away. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and then we also have locations in Calhoun, Georgia, so a little bit further south, but not too far.
Okay, so if somebody is in any one of those areas, they can just go to your store and walk in and see what you've got. Is that what you're telling me?
Exactly. Okay. So when you walk in, it's beautiful showroom. You have several kitchens around you, cabinet product all around to pick things out, make selections, tile, countertops. Truly full turnkey. We work with clients of contractors. We work with spec builders. We work with multifamily, developers, and much more. But the showroom is kind of that central meeting place to make a ton of selections.
That's awesome. You do closet organizing, you said?
We do. Yep. We do a lot of closets. And it's incredible the things that you can do out of the closet material. And it's, all about just making your space more functional. And I think closets are a very undervalued part of the home that is very, very important in your day-to-day life. And if you have a clean, put together closet, it just really sets you off for success every day you wake up and get going. And we do that for a lot of people. I
used to own a house. It was an old home, and they had taken and put closet organizers in them, and one of the master bedroom was amazing. It was just amazing the way they had done it. So I can attest to that. So Casey, what's your position with the company?
So I'm the founder and president of the Designery.
Wow. Well, congratulations. I mean, you don't look a day over 80. So, I mean, now all of y'all that can't see him, he's a young guy. So congratulations. It's quite a undertaking that you've done there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Couldn't do it without great employees and a great network around me. I started at a young age, but I've been extremely ambitious, had a very lucky and blessed few years, and have just really worked very hard to get to us to where we are now.
Well, tell me about your journey. What brought you from getting out of school and going into this type of occupation?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's kind of funny. I mentioned earlier about how I'm a big dogs fan and how I went to UGA. And so I'll kind of start there. In college, I was actually a pre-med student. I was very involved, actually. Did a lot of volunteering at Erlanger and Memorial and several other hospitals throughout the Chattanooga area, just throughout my, high school and early college days of just, giving back to the community and volunteering. So much so that I actually got a scholarship for that from Ronald McDonald House there in Chattanooga. So,
Wow.
I was very involved in the pre-med route until I had organic chemistry, and then quickly discovered that, pre-med just was not for me. So I quickly went to my advisor and said, all right, I need something else. Clearly medicine is just not my path anymore. And from there, I switched to business and I just got super involved. I got involved in an entrepreneurship program, created several different companies while I was in school, and just, fell in love with it. Once I got to the point of graduation, I said, all right, I know I don't want to go the corporate route. I know I want to do something entrepreneurially. And there was a salvage company out of Chattanooga called A1 Surplus or A1 Kitchen and Bath. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I basically bought that company. We rebranded and then we grew it from there to, where we are today.
Nice, nice. Well, congratulations again. That's wow. I mean, I'm impressed. That's
Thank you.
I love it when young people take a hold and become successful. I just interviewed a couple this morning that have become very successful with each other. So that's wonderful. So talk to me about some of the myths and misconceptions that people have sometimes when they go to try to do some of the things that you offer, and they're a little apprehensive about exactly who to approach, how to talk about what they want. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's several different kind of misconceptions throughout the kitchen and bath space in specific about, what quality truly means, what price point truly means, and what you need to do to achieve those things. And one of those stigmas is that custom shops have this perception that they are superior than, maybe box cabinets is kind of the phrase that people might use. What's funny about that is it's just really not true, right? Having a company that has the box cabinets, if you will, there's incredible things that they can do. They're very custom, actually, and so for us, for example, we use equipment that are just out of reach of custom companies. So that could be something like the way we do our dados, or the way we dovetail our drawers, the soft tail, or the soft close items, right? Things like that we do throughout our building process and throughout our manufacturing is so much more superior than just what someone can do in a small custom shop. And like I said, that's a misconception in the area that we're constantly trying to set straight, because you can come to us and get something of really, really good quality, actually better quality in most areas, but for a fraction of the price, because there's a lot less labor, and it's much more consistent, and you have all of those things to take into account. And thankfully we've been able to grow to the size we are. So even though we're a local company, and you're working with local staff, local team, and like I said, I'm from Chattanooga, but you're also getting the buying power of a national brand who is bringing that to you, which is just incredible. And like I said, it gives you a lot of opportunities there as a home buyer or as a builder, that you're working with a local team, but you still get all the benefits of kind of a larger company. And so we take that concept and we kind of mesh that together, about the custom shop and the RTA shop, and we kind of mesh that together to be what is now the Designery. So, if there's one thing that I could, set straight out there, and rather you shop
Yeah.
at the Designery or not, it is just, look at all your options. Don't necessarily just go to a custom shop because you think that they're better, because in reality they could be, but they could also not be. And so I definitely, advise people to just look at your options, and make sure that you're really comfortable with the route you're going, that the
Yeah.
quality is what you want, the price point is where you want it to be, and you don't just accept what certain people who maybe have outdated information and more outdated, set of beliefs. Don't accept that, and try to see for yourself what opportunities you have in your area as well.
That's what the competition is all about. We can get multiple prices and you just check out the quality. That's what, as far as what keeps us all honest, right? Competition.
Absolutely. There's a reason why, Kroger and Walmart are always nearby. Home Depot and Lowe's are always next door. Competition is extremely important, and it's what makes the industry thrive. So I, always love to network with people who are doing a very similar thing. I love to get to know them. I love to learn from them, and vice versa. I hope I can teach them some things every now and then as well. And, competition is extremely important, and it's never something that we should shy away from. And so people who might be listening out there who are in the industry, I hope they aren't offended by some of the opinions that I say today. But at the same time, I hope that they can respect and maybe learn something on their own as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all know what we're doing, what we're good at. And we also know if we produce a good product or an inferior product. We all know that.
Absolutely.
Then there's some people, and not to say I guess I shouldn't use the word inferior. I apologize for that. That we all know when we offer cheaper product, there's some people maybe can't afford the high end stuff. They can't afford that, and they need a better price point. So there's nothing wrong with offering top of the line and maybe middle grade, and we got to have something for everybody. That's for sure. So I have to make it affordable. But whatever we do, it has to be affordable for the market that we're going after.
Absolutely.
You mentioned a while ago you're married. What do y'all like to do for fun when you're not working?
Well, I do work quite a bit, but I will say that when I'm not working, I do love tennis. I love getting out on the courts and hitting around, rather that's with friends, family, or in leagues that I'll do around the area. I'm actually in a league in the Dalton, Georgia area, so I'll do a league there. I love golf. I love pretty much all sports, rather it's watching them or doing them. I will say I'm not quite as in shape as I once was, Scott, as I'm sure that a lot of us can relate to. But nonetheless, it's fun to get out there and still participate. If I'm not doing those things, then just, quite frankly, spending time with family. I love, like you said, I have a wife. We're very close with all of our siblings and our parents and just everyone that is close to us. We're very close with them. And, we just love spending time with them. So that's another part, that could be seeing a movie and, doing something like that, or it could be just having a family dinner on a Saturday night when we get the free time. So anything like that. And then the last thing I'll say is traveling. Everyone loves to travel, right? I am a sucker for learning and history and traveling to enjoy those things. So
absolutely. I love history. I love learning more about people, places, and things. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Casey, you're young. You built a good business, but I would like to ask you a kind of more personal question. Can you describe any hardship or life challenge maybe that you went through that, after you've come through it and you look back, you can say, hey, I'm better or stronger for what I went through?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Scott. Obviously, and especially for the fellow business owners out there, you all know that there's a ton of challenges that you will go throughout the walk of life of being an entrepreneur. It looks glamorous from the outside looking in, but there's a lot of challenges. One thing that I definitely faced was, and you mentioned it, Scott, is being a younger guy. So, you're young when you get started, and sometimes there can be a stigma or a lack of respect based on age, right? And it's kind of funny. You look at people like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or any of those people, and you're like, well, they started out really, really young, and they went, and became really successful. But most of the time, people don't remember that they were 20 or 21 when they got started. They remember their 30s or 40s when they made $1 billion, right? And so, I think one of the challenges is just earning people's respect from employees, customers, colleagues, so much more. There's a sense of prejudice just against young people that are kind of in a place of authority. They think that, it was probably given to them, and that's kind of the obvious thought that people jump to. And sometimes that's true, right? There's a stigma for reasons. Like, I get that. But it is something that I had to personally overcome, and I had to earn respect from people, and I had to work every day to prove that I, deserved to be where I was, and that I worked very hard with a lot of strategy and a lot of intelligence to get me there. And you also have to have the right blend of humility, though, to mix into that. So confidence and humility, you got to blend those things together
Yeah,
in order to earn that respect. And it's a challenge. And and that's something that I think, for the most part, I think I've overcome that. And I think that because of that, my work ethic is so much better than it, probably ever would have been. And I have, just really achieved some incredible things. And I think
yeah.
it's from that challenge, and just being able to work through that challenge and overcome that challenge and have difficult conversations. So, I would say that challenge I'm better off for.
People will ignore certain things like your youth and different things like that if you provide good quality work and stand behind it. If you don't stand behind what you do, then people don't care how old you are. They don't care, how you got where you're at. If you're not going to stand behind it, you can have the most impressive story in the world. But if you don't stand behind what you do, they don't care. There's an old saying: people don't care people don't care what you know. They care how much they want to know how much you care. So if we stand behind what we do, that's the main thing. If there was one thing that you wish our listeners could know about the Designery, one thing that they wouldn't know unless you told them, and you'd like to shout it from the rooftops, Casey, what would it be?
Scott, that's a great question. So we have a list of values that we really try to live by, and one of those values is community. And as cliche as it is, we are super involved in the community, from high school sponsorships to little league teams to chamber events, and much more. And then we are also involved with our community from a national level. We have we're a proud sponsor of Dr. Carson's foundation. We also work with a company called Operation Homefront, who helps veterans get placed after service. And so all of those things that we do is just our way of giving back to the community, rather it's a local level or a national level. It's really important to us that we not only say that's our value, but we live by that. And, I really encourage everyone out there to, I know we can get lost in that day-to-day grind of building a business and satisfying our customers. And all of those things are extremely important. But at the same time, we have to reflect, and how do we give back, and how do we live by, our community standards or values or ethics that, one might possess. And so I hope that I can kind of give that to the listeners of, hey, community is very important, and the Designery, stands by the work that we do in the community, and the ways that we try to give back, and the hope that we have to give back even more as we continue to grow.
That sounds awesome. That was a good answer. Really good answer. I could tell you meant it too, not just when it was canned. I appreciate you. We thank you for being on the program today. But before we go, I know a lot of people would like to know, online or offline, how could they reach you? How can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Well, please reach out. I'm super involved in LinkedIn or Facebook. My name is Casey Ridley. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook. Visit us at thedesignery.com. Or, of course, feel free to stop by any of our showrooms. One of them is on Keith Street off in Cleveland, Tennessee. And the other one is off of Direct Connection Drive in Rossville, Georgia, off the Eastridge exit. So stop into our showrooms, visit me on LinkedIn or Facebook, reach out to me, or check out our website at thedesignery.com. And I would love to connect with you.
Thanks for being on the show today, Casey. I hope a lot of people see this and reach out to you and find the satisfaction they need in what you're offering. So thanks a lot for being with us today, buddy.
Thank you, Scott.
My pleasure. To all the good neighbors of the Cleveland and Dalton and the Chattanooga areas, and after meeting with Casey and learning more about the Designery, I know he hopes you'll take a moment to consider all they have to offer and remember them when you're in need or want the products and services they provide. And before ending this episode, I'd like to thank you all, the listeners. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to visit with us at the Good Neighbor Podcast. Always remember to support the locally owned and or operated businesses in Cleveland, Dalton, and the whole greater Chattanooga area. There's so many communities and towns that I wish I had the time to mention all of them, but we know who you are, you know who you are, and there's businesses in all these little areas, and we need to be supportive of them. So we'd like to ask you to remember us on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. We're going to be having TikTok videos for long. go there and like us and help spread the word to the local people in this great Chattanooga area about this podcast, and they can learn more about local businesses that they can support. So my name's Scott Howell. I'm with the Friends and Neighbors Group. Everyone go out and make this a remarkable day.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpcleveland.com. That's gnpcleveland.com or call 423-380-1984.